Before we get started today, I would like to draw attention to a GoFundMe that my friend and the moderator of our Discord channel, Malcaria, is running. She's trying to raise money to visit her brother who is stationed in Japan. She's trying to raise $1,800 by May 16th. I had said April 28th previously. That's just because I don't know how to read. So that was my mistake. So she's trying to raise that much money by May 16th, which still isn't very long. And I'll include a link to the GoFundMe in the description. If you have any money at all that you're able to donate, I would be very appreciative if you would consider chipping it in to help my friend go and see her brother who is stationed in Japan. So, thank you very much for listening and donating any money if you do, and now let's get back to business. Okay, today we are playing a game on Oasis. We are in the Platinum SR range, and we will be playing Brigitte the entire way through. And our current team composition is Reinhardt, D.Va, Reaper, Mei, Mercy, and Brigitte. So, of note, first off, if they have a Pharah, we're going to be pretty upset about that with our DPS being Reaper and Mei. Secondarily, having Mercy Brigitte means you don't have a Zenyatta, which means you don't have Transcendence, which means ultimates like Graviton become a lot scarier, especially when Hanzo is so popular at present, because a lot of games recently kind of come down to, well, we're in the Graviton and the Dragon Strike's coming at us. Does Zenyatta have Transcendence? Yes, no, and the answer of whether we win the team fight depends entirely on that. It's a very deep metagame that we're in currently at the moment. We're also on the console today. By the way, consider yourself forewarned. Oh, he's doing so good at remembering. So let's start the game. He says after he forgot to mention it for like half a video like 2 days ago. Who cares? It's alright. So we're on University first. So first thing we want to do as Brigitte is determine if they have a Tracer. Really, we want to determine if they have Flankers and Divers. We've determined they have a Tracer, so that's of principal concern to us right now. Mei is also of concern to us, but we're more interested in this Tracer that's trying to flank around the backside. Now, the problem with what we're doing right now is that we'll never catch up with Tracer like this. In fact, Tracer is slightly faster than you, so you'll never catch up to her like this. We know what she's gonna do, right? Tracer has clearly got a specific plan in her mind right now. She is gonna go around the backside of this doorway and try and fight whoever is on the other side of the doorway. So rather than coming all the way around the backside chasing after her, we could just go stand by the other doorway, wait for her to round the corner, then stun her and kill her. So rather than trying to run her down, which is more difficult to do. We do catch up to her in the end and kill her, but we know what she's gonna do. She's clearly gonna go around and back through the other doorway, so we can just wait round there and gank her as soon as she comes around the corner. So now we're very low. We don't want it, very scary. Just a general practice that I find is helpful as Brigitte is to just walk around with your shield up basically the entire time, because unless you got somewhere you need to be soon. Because she's kind of easy to kill if you don't use your shield that well. Or that liberally, I suppose I should say. A lot of Brigitte players, they tend to just go in there swinging and get killed as a result. So now if we back way the fuck up, right, paying attention to the kill feed is important. We see we've lost both of our tanks presently, and then Mei dies as well. So half our team are dead, 2 of which main tank's dead. So things are not looking so good right now. So rather than hovering on the point, we should just be retreating to our side of the map. Unfortunately, we don't kill Tracer after stunning her, but we should be pulling back because most of our team are dead. And even if we don't pull, like, all the way back, we should be waiting on the other side of the objective, closer to our side, so we can run away if we have to. Rather than positioning so aggressively while half our team is dead. So we can see over here that Mercy's being bullied by several nefarious individuals. We should try and put the armor pack on Mercy, because she's currently low health and floating around to try and avoid it. That's a questionable maneuver at best, right there. So we saw that she swung by us, low health, so we should be trying to put that on her. We had an opportunity to kill Tracer right there, but we didn't stun her in time. Tragic, unfortunate. And then we sort of give up on helping Mercy, and she gets murdered by Mei. We as Brigitte, your principal concern is keeping the other supports, depending on your team composition, alive. So, you know, we kill Tracer right there, which is great and all, but most of our team is most of our team is dead and coming back. You know, they died. They're currently reinforcing behind us, and we're still pushing up very aggressively while they're dead. We don't want to be pushing up while they're dead, because Brigitte's easy to kill if you're out of position. She doesn't have very much in the way of mobility. The way you get out of a fight is just by, like, backing up with your shield and hoping they don't aggressively try and kill you. Basically, the enemy team has to be kind of bad to not kill you if you're out of position, which is true of all heroes. But people have the wrong opinion on Brigitte, that she's extraordinary, like she's basically impossible to kill. And, like, people are under the impression Brigitte is an extraordinarily easy hero to play, to the degree of almost being automatic. I disagree. I think Brigitte is deceptively difficult to play well. You can play Brigitte okay pretty easily, but to play Brigitte well, you have to be keeping track of a lot of different things, and there's a lot of awareness and decision-making that goes into it. She's not difficult to play mechanically, but that doesn't mean she isn't difficult to play in different ways. So we get to try and just beat this guy to death. He was not able... Zenyatta was not able to keep him alive, even with Transcendence, which is tragic indeed. So, McCree does a good job of just, like, tapping us to death, essentially. You know, just, like, walk around with your shield up. It just reduces the chance of that happening, really. Unless you've got somewhere you're trying to get to quickly. Because, Brigitte... If you, like, the only way you really avoid that is by just kind of, like, having your shield up when McCree tried to shoot you, basically, because by the time you got shot, there's no time to react. So, getting hooked over here by Roadhog, we obviously want to try and, fuck with that dude, but now we're in the Blizzard. Unfortunate. We came up to, fuck with Roadhog because he was hooking somebody, but then we ended up getting caught in the Blizzard, and, you know... Mercy's gonna res us. Oh, no. That's a tragic story right there. Now we're gonna beat Zenyatta to death. Psych! He's got Transcendence again. Look, you know, I think you can tell roughly how this round's gonna go. You know, the objective is, it's not been going super well this game. That's like a round that you probably don't personally affect the outcome of, because, like, a lot of shit was going on in the background, basically. So, now, though, we're on City Center. I also don't think our team comp is super good for fighting their team composition, mostly because, like, if we don't kill Tracer, no one is, which is unideal, suboptimal. Now, however, one of our tanks has changed to McCree, which is actually helpful. It was Reinhardt. They don't have a Reinhardt, correct? So you don't necessarily need a Reinhardt, but at the same time, if the enemy team doesn't have a Reinhardt and you do, it's like easy Earth Shatters, and Earth Shatter is how Reinhardt wins games. You know. So McCree has already died because he's been ganked by May and probably someone else. He went off entirely separate direction to the rest of the team, so him dying is his own fault. We're obviously not going to go and hang out with him going off by himself, so there's nothing we can do to affect his death, because we'd have to be doing something extremely counterintuitive to prevent it. So now, however, we should have slapped the armor pack onto Mercy a lot sooner, because she's been walking around behind us low health. We've been hooked by Roadhog, but that's not the end of the world. What is the end of the world, however, is May right next to us. So the problem is basically that, like, team split up, someone died immediately, McCree, so we're already having to fight 5v6, which is already difficult, and then the fight didn't get off to a great start. So it's all downhill from there, basically. That guy got killed. When did we saw him? Did we see him? As we were coming out? Yeah, like, you can see that dude is hurt on the right-hand side, so, like, go around the right-hand side to throw a health pack on him. By the time we really notice him, he's already dead. In general, we're not doing a super great job of using our armor pack that helpfully so far. This is part of what goes into playing Brigitte, is that you have to be, like, armor pack is a very powerful cooldown. It's just, like, that person probably didn't die if you threw it on them, right? Unless something absolutely horrible was happening to them. They probably didn't die. So part of the difficulty with Brigitte is you are in a very, you're probably standing in a pretty aggressive place, right? You are a melee hero, so you're probably in there fighting people. But while that's going on, you've got to be paying attention to everything around you. You've got to be paying attention to, are my teammates hurt? Who's in danger? I've got to throw the armor pack on somebody if they're hurt. So you got to pay attention and know somebody's in danger, and then pick out the right person to throw the armor pack on. The difficulty for me is, like, not really noticing the person is hurt, is getting the armor pack to go to the right fucking person. Because quite often, I'll try to throw it on somebody. Nope. It's on that motherfucker instead, and now the fucker I was trying to throw it on is dead. How inconvenient. You gotta keep track of a lot of moving parts with Brigitte whilst in a very inconvenient location in the middle of the fight, right? Because all supports in general have to be paying attention to a lot of things in the team fight, right? Because they have to be paying attention to where danger is coming from, who needs help, what they should be avoiding, what they should be, you know, if they are an aggressive support, they need to be paying attention to who they're trying to kill at the same time. And Brigitte has to do all of that as well. The thing is, though, that someone like Zenyatta or Mercy gets to do it from the back line. Brigitte has to do it from inside the fight. And I think this is the thing that people struggle with the most as Brigitte, is that you have to keep track of a lot of shit, especially considering all of your cooldowns are very impactful, right? But you need to find the right place to use them on, so you have to keep track of a fight from a very hectic location in the middle of the fight. This is also why I think if you were a support main and you're trying to play Brigitte, it's probably a very difficult transition to make, because her skill set is quite different to any other support in the game, because she herself is also part tank and melee hero. So you have to do all the same shit you were already doing, but from a more hectic location. Also, no other support has to worry about crowd control, right? Not many heroes in general do, right? Like, crowd control is hard to find in this game. The only ones that really have to worry about it to any significant degree are McCree and Sombra, because their kits kind of revolve around their crowd control. You could also say Roadhog, but Roadhog is more about killing people than disruption, right? So a lot of playing Brigitte is like picking out who needs help in the fight and helping them, which is difficult because of the position you're in. The biggest skill testing aspect on Brigitte is definitely awareness. Positioning kind of ties into that, but I think awareness is the biggest thing. So we heard McCree behind us, we swivel around, he was too far away to really, like, stop, and Junkrat has died. Oh, she didn't quite go off the edge, but boy do we want it, and we got it. Nice. It's free real estate. She's dead from that position. So, similarly to Reinhardt, you never want to let your shield break, right? Because as soon as it breaks, it goes on a really long cooldown. And a really integral part of Brigitte's kit is shield bash. You can't shield bash without your shield. So you don't want to let your shield break, because then you can't access shield bash. And shield bash is a big part of Brigitte. It's not really so much of an issue for Brigitte, because people don't really very actively try to break your shield. So it doesn't end up usually being a super big issue. So now this is where Brigitte's really cool, when you've got rally going and you can just kind of run at people and beat them down, right? The other part of playing Brigitte is knowing when to go aggressive, right? Because usually Brigitte is basically like a very good bodyguard and great at peeling, and she fills a disruptor role, which is very unusual for heroes in this game. But then also, she is quite scary when fighting, so the other part is knowing when it's time to go in and start swinging your flail at people. So right, now we've spotted Tracer. We obviously want to try and deal with Tracer as Brigitte. This is another part of playing Brigitte, is like, people kind of completely ignore Rocket Flail? I don't know the exact name of the ability. They ignore the whip. a lot during team fights, and they kind of just use it to try and do damage to people. That's also disruption. So another part of the playing Brigitte in a team fight is like stunning people as much as possible, but then also like pushing people into inconvenient locations, pushing people like further into your team if they don't want to be there, and also pushing people off of your teammates. Because if like Mei is trying to kill somebody, but she's too far away for you to stun, you can push Mei off of the person with Rocket Flail still, because it's a 20-meter range. So, very awkward. Both heroes stunned each other, but McCree was not allowed to do what he's doing, so he's dead now. We've almost got Rally built up. That's cool. Rally's not the most intuitive to use ability in the entire game. Basically, like the ideal situation to use Rally in. This is something people will struggle with as well, as when to use Rally. The ideal situation to use Rally would be like just far enough ahead of the team fight that you can cap out your armor on your teammates, or close to cap it out, and then start a fight while Rally is still going, so you benefit from the armor regen in the fight as well. It's a very difficult timing to get absolutely correct, though. So really, you either use it in a fight to just, like, increase your healing, or you use it way in advance of the fight to just give yourself a big buffer to engage with. They are about to nerf the upper limit on the armor you can apply to somebody, so off your ultimate from 150 to 100. So it will be less good as the buffer, because going in with 150 health is a lot. Going in with only 100, that's only a little bit more than an armor pack, so it'll be less good for the buffer before the fight after it gets nerfed. So basically that, like, is a very odd round, because, like, we were losing, then we started winning, and basically they just never got their shit together. So it was very easy to keep winning from that point onwards. Overwatch is that way sometimes. So, now, final round on City Center. That's the one. Yep. This is, like, the most inconvenient one to play Brigitte on, because it's kind of the most open, right? Brigitte typically is better in more confined locations, because she herself has little in the way of gap closing, so she just kind of generally prefers people to be closer to her. Almost got walled off by Mei, which would have been rather sad. So now we see they have Mei and Doomfist, which is a little scary. I think at least pretty sure I saw Doomfist. Because now I'm not so sure. I think I might have actually been crazy. We'll see. So, fighting Mei. Mei is kind of the biggest priority. We do want this boy dead, but at the same time, we can see Reapers creeping up on him, right? Because we can see Reinhardt's low. Yeah, he's going to die to Reaper. Right, there's no way that doesn't happen. So we should change our attention to Mei instead, because Mei, we're pretty good at fighting. We can stun her so that she can... Oh, they do have a Doomfist. Okay. So that's kind of scary. Mei is like... It's like, people say Mei is really good against Brigitte. I don't really find that to be true, because it's one of those things where, like, you'll never kill Mei by yourself, but Mei will also never kill you by herself either. So it's like you're occupying one of their DPS entirely by fighting her, but you as Brigitte are healing ambiently. So it's like, even if you're just like 1v1ing Mei forever, that's still like a net positive for your team. So like, I don't find that Mei is really that good against Brigitte. Unless you're just ignoring the Mei, which you should never do as any hero, because Mei is just like that way. So now we see they also have a Genji. Genji, of course, high interest target to us as Brigitte, but he just ran in 1v6, so he's dead now. In general, even though this game is like sort of close, right? Like it goes 3 rounds on Oasis, it's like there isn't really that much going on we personally would likely affect the outcome of that dramatically, either. Like the biggest impact we could have had in round 1 was trying more actively to keep Mercy alive, because that's like, you know, our concern as Brigitte. Reinhardt tries to charge in, no sir, no fun allowed. And then we go in and we start beating on him, but like, the rest of his team is like still over there, and we've got Discord Orb on us right now, so they're just kind of like shooting us to death. Like, it's one of those things where, like, you trying to beat on Reinhardt is not necessarily the greatest use of your time. Because you don't necessarily bring that much to killing Reinhardt other than the crowd control and shield bash. But we've already done that. He's, like, out of position now, getting bullied by D.Va. D.Va's gonna kill him without your assistance, basically. Like, Reinhardt from this position doesn't kill D.Va. It's simply not feasible for him to do so. So rather than worrying about Reinhardt again right now, we should change our attention over there. Especially since we're kind of the off tank right now, because the only other tank on the team is D.Va. So we're like a tank right now. D.Va's gonna beat Reinhardt to death. There's no way Reinhardt survives. We can turn our attention back to the rest of the team. Now, we are low, and that's scary, but it's actually impossible for us to die right now, because we got stopped at 69 hit points, which is the magic number, and you can't die from that position. So, it's actually fine. So, yeah, didn't need to focus so hard on Reinhardt right there. Here's a fun fact about playing against Doomfist, just in general, but this is particularly true for Reinhardt and Brigitte. If you are not in the epicenter of Meteor Strike, you can actually block the damage with your shield. The epicenter just kills you, obviously, but if you're just, like, in the outer rim, as long as you point the shield towards the center, it actually blocks the shockwave. So that's cool. Just something to know, especially since Doomfist has been, like, way more popular right now. You can block the shockwave. I only learned this, like, a couple of days ago, because I never really seen Doomfist that much until recently, and I was playing a game as Reinhardt, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking die. So I was just holding my shield up, praying, and it blocked the shockwave off of Meteor Strike. I was like, oh, I didn't know you could do that, because when the fuck have I played against a Doomfist before, right? Like, much less a Doomfist that was anywhere approaching competent. It's also true for Brigitte, but Brigitte's shield is, like, a little finicky when it comes to blocking things, right? Like, sometimes it blocks Earth Shatter, sometimes it doesn't. It's very, it's a little bit weird. So, we're using Rally right now, we're going in swinging, we're having a great time. Didn't quite manage to kill Tracer, which is unfortunate. Genji's actually using Dragon Strike. When did this happen? Actually, didn't hear him pull Dragon Blade? Like, when did this happen? I've gone forward instead of back, which is unhelpful for this. Maybe if I put the other ear on. Yeah, it's over there, isn't it? Yeah, right now. So, we stun Tracer after we've heard Genji pull the Dragon Blade out. I don't like to have both ears on, so I could not hear it. Because I'm convinced that if I can't hear what's happening in the room around me, a murderer is going to kill me. It's just how it is, okay. Anyway, so we stunned somebody else after we heard Genji pull Dragon Blade, which is not a good idea, because when Genji pulls Dragon Blade, our primary concern at that point in time is stopping Genji. So rather than stunning Tracer, we should just immediately pivot to look for Genji, because he's more concerning at that point. So, what do we do with our armor pack during this? Threw it on Baby D.Va? Like, I get it, but at the same time, Baby D.Va right there, she's full health and not really being threatened, so she didn't really need the armor pack right there. And, you know, Reaper would have very much liked an armor pack right there. It looks like we got spooked off because we kind of got shot from the side, so we didn't stick around to put it on him. Like, Reaper is so close to death, we have to try harder to keep him alive right now. Like, we've got our shield, so, like, yeah, we got shot from the side. Just, like, put yourself in the doorway, right? Like, just back up, and you can block for Reaper, because you do have a shield, and you can throw the armor pack on him in there. Even if you're getting spooked because you took damage from the side, like, you need to try and keep Reaper alive in that position. So, we could have gone in to try and keep him alive. And, you know, Reaper being alive right now could definitely affect the outcome of this fight, because as we can see, it's pretty close right now. So if we kept him alive, it just, like, should be way more in our favor than it is right now. So we ended up dying, which is obviously unfortunate. Now we've got to come all the way back across. You know, it's still going okay in our absence, but we're not a very fast hero, so by the time we get back over here, it started to go back in their favor. So, that's a moment where we might have been able to affect the outcome of the game by just trying harder to keep Reaper alive during that team fight. Especially since Reaper was, like, the bulk of our DPS at that point. This is how Brigitte is as a hero. She's, throw the armor pack on Mercy. Like, sooner than that, you know, she's the one getting shot. This is how Brigitte is. Brigitte's very good at being the fun police, right? If you can see somebody If you see someone on the enemy team trying to have fun, or is they're trying to kill someone on your team, your job's to go police that fun. And if they're trying to kill someone, you're supremely good at trying to keeping people alive when they shouldn't be able to stay alive. Genji's using Dragon Blade right now. We didn't land the stun, which is very unfortunate, so we end up dying. And that's the thing with Genji, is that, like, this is something people assume is automatic. Just stun Genji while he's using Dragon Blade. It's harder than it sounds, alright? It's like, why doesn't, well, if it's that simple, McCree would counter Genji 100% of the time. It's not actually that simple. There's an element of skill in here with Genji, right? Sometimes you miss the stun on the Dragon Blade and you end up dying. And it never feels good, but that's just how it is sometimes. Especially if the Genji's good and actually, like, is actively trying to dodge you. Tried to stun Doomfist, but he's dead before we even arrive. How about that? Now we can't stun Genji, but it's alright. He's dead before we could stun him anyway, so it didn't matter regardless. Very unfortunate that Reaper's purple right now. Couldn't do very much about that one. Winston ended up dying to self-destruct. Was it feasible to block for him? Because you can block self-destruct as Brigitte. It's not unimaginable, but we'd have to react a lot faster than that to actually block for him, so, like, it gets a little impractical. So we got Rally right now. We're just going to pop Rally immediately because, you know, of course we are. We want this to be, like, the last team fight, and it's not, you know, it's going sort of in our favor up until this point. Genji's over here trying to have some fun. Like, just throw the armor pack on, like, that dude, because he's gonna be getting fucked. Mercy, unfortunately, gets punched to death, so there's nothing you can actually do about that one, but, like, throw the armor pack on, our boy there, because, like, McCree is getting bullied right now, so, like, put the armor pack on him. Like, he's the source of bullying right now. You can at least give him the armor, right, if nothing else. So, unfortunately, things start going badly. Oh god, we're gonna get punched by Doomfist. There's, like, no way you get out of that position. So, it is possible that we could have affected the outcome of this game by just trying to keep Reaper alive. Oh, it suddenly ended. Don't mess with Symmetra. It is possible that we could have affected the outcome of that game by just trying harder to keep Reaper alive. In general, like, this game, it just kind of, it's like stuff kind of just kept happening. Like, the first round, like, a bunch of shit was going wrong. Second round, shit went wrong, but then they never got their shit together after we started winning. So it went in our favor, right? Like, this is the first round where, like, we possibly could have affected the outcome of it. And, like, this one as well, maybe if we, tried harder to stop Genji's Dragon Blade, because, you know, we don't know what exactly happened with the Dragon Blade, because we couldn't see it, but, like, we didn't, try to stun it, so that also possibly could have affected the outcome of the game. It's possible. We'll never know if we could have done, but we might have been able to. So, this wasn't necessarily the greatest game to talk about it, but there was a thing in the email where it stated, I think my main issue is knowing where I should be positioned. It is common for people to assume she is brain dead, but I find myself being punished quite often. So, you know, it didn't really come up super heavily in this game about positioning, so I'll just kind of talk about it in general terms for Brigitte real quick. So, the thing with Brigitte is that she's really good at taking people's fun. So how you're positioned, how you should be positioning, depends on whose fun you're trying to take in that game, right? So first thing, all games determine if they have divers and flankers. If yes, your primary mission for that job is taking their fun away. So you should identify who on your team is most likely to get dived or flanked, and it is probably the other support. Almost always. Sometimes it's going to be like the soldier or whatnot, but it's usually going to be the other support in the game. So your job is going to be to sit by them and just make sure they don't die. And then in the interim, while, you know, because they're obviously not going to be getting harassed the entire time by divers and flankers. While you're waiting to try and help them, you're just always keeping an eye on them, and you're filling time by just, like, disrupting the front line as much as possible, and keeping attention to what's going on around you. And then as soon as you can see that the divers and flankers are getting in position, or you haven't seen them for a while, you should be peeling back to try and make space for the supports, the backline in general, but we'll assume the support, right? So you should be peeling back to try and help them. If the other team does not have any divers and flankers, if there's some sort of just like death ball, right? Like, like Reinhardt, Zarya, Soldier, Reaper. Well, Reaper can be a flanker. We'll say like Soldier, Pharah, something like that. Something just sort of more more generic and grindery, then your job is to stand up and be a member of the front line, basically. And then at that point, your job becomes disrupting the enemy team's front line and making it easier for your tanks to actually engage a fight and win that fight. And it's more about supporting them than it is bodyguarding people, because if there's Soldier, Pharah, you can't do anything about Pharah as Brigitte, and Soldier is probably not trying to assassinate your Mercy, right? He's behind their team. So your backline, they're not going to be getting dived, they're not going to be getting flanked. At that point, you're disrupting the front line and supporting your tanks rather than supporting the other supports or the backline in general, right? Brigitte's one of those heroes where she's always working with someone, right? Similarly to Zarya. Zarya is one of the worst heroes in the game by herself, but she is excellent with other people around to support, right? Brigitte's the same way. It'd be more like Pharah Hanzo, wouldn't it, now that I think about it? But, that's difficult. Same principle, though. They're back there, so you're still with the front line. You're always working with someone. Where you're positioned and what you're trying to do in the game is basically determined by the enemy team composition. And whether your backline will be actively harassed or not. Because if it is, you got to make space for them. If it isn't, you're supporting the front line instead. And those are the two general states that Brigitte's in. Brigitte, every hero has a way they win the game, right? And a lot of heroes, it's relatively straightforward, right? Reinhardt is block for your team and earth shatter the enemy team. Easy money, right? Hanzo, it's kill people, right? Mercy, it's make sure people don't die. Things like that. For Brigitte, it's disruption, because she, in a fight, just makes it so difficult for other heroes to do what they need to be doing, because you're stunning them, you can block with your shield, you're a damage threat to low health targets. And you have the only spike heal in the game in Armor Pack, and you have a knockback in Whip Shot. So the stun. So Brigitte's an incredibly disruptive force in a fight. So what you should really be trying to leverage when you're playing Brigitte is the disruptive nature of your hero. You're trying to make it difficult for other heroes to do their jobs. And you have a lot of ways to do that. If somebody's trying to assassinate your backline, you can put the armor on somebody, and if that was a low health Mercy, that's suddenly a full health Mercy. So the Genji at that point probably doesn't kill him. Especially since you're probably peeling back to start hitting him, right? And then there's obviously the stun. But then you can make space with other heroes as well. Assume they have a Winston, right? Winston he jumps in at your team. You can stop him from even jumping in, because one of the ways you fuck with Winston's engage, D.Va can do this, you just fly up into the Winston when he jumps up in the air and just bash him out of the way, right? You can do that with Whip Shot. Winston's easy to hit, and he's going in an arc. You know where he's going, so you can just whip him out of the air before he even lands. But if you're not confident in doing that, you can just push him off the person that he's trying to kill, right? You don't even necessarily need to be adjacent to the person. Obviously, you can stun him and then push him back, but if you're far away, you can push the guy off of him with Whip Shot. And, you put armor on the person Winston's trying to kill. Winston doesn't do a lot of damage. That person's gonna survive. D.Va kills people by her big spike of damage at the front. So, you see her going on somebody, and then you just put the armor pack on them while she's jumping on them. She didn't kill them with the big burst. Makes it way harder for her to kill that person. And then you're coming over there to stun her and push her off of people. Things like that, But then, even outside of divers, you can just make it difficult for the other hero. They got a Reinhardt over there. Just stun the Reinhardt as much as possible, and he's taken down, every time you stun him, he's gonna take a big chunk of damage, because everybody's gonna be fuck, let's hit Reinhardt real quick, right? If somebody behind him doesn't die. Your Reinhardt, he's probably gonna be paying attention if he's paying, if he's good, and then he's gonna try and or shatter them around your stun, stuff like that, right? If the support's Moira, you can just stop her from doing anything, right? If it's Anna, you can just stop those heroes from being able to heal people, because you get in their face and stop them from being able to do anything, right? So that's like the what you should be trying to leverage in a fight is disruption. But how you should be positioning depends on entirely who you're trying to disrupt. If it's flankers and divers, they're the #1 target. Otherwise, try and support your front line instead, and just try and be as disruptive in the fight as possible. The biggest skill testing factor for Brigitte is paying attention to the fight around you and deciding who is the most important target to stun, who really needs the armor pack right now. Can I push somebody away to make space for my team, or can I push somebody into my team to make it easier to kill them? Things like that. So hopefully that sort of answers the question, because this wasn't necessarily the greatest game to talk about positioning-wise, really, because I thought basically we were positioning fine for what was going on most of the time, so since that's what you said you struggled with, hopefully that kind of helps with it, if nothing else. So thank you very much for watching if you did. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them. And I hope you found the video helpful.